स्क्रीन दिख रही है अभी?
Okay. Yeah, it look awesome.
ओके, ठीक है. सो just a second. Okay. Okay. So today, perhaps for the first time, we will talk about some aspects of human psychology. So we have been
Okay.
talking about physics, mathematics, engineering, and perhaps sometime biology as well. But today we'll talk about some aspects of human psychology. So, I mean, I don't have to really say much about habits, but habits. Okay. Okay. So before going into the details of what habits are and how can we inculcate new habits and leave the bad ones. So this is a brief overview because the okay, and the talk is based on James Clear's book on atomic habits. So because it won't be possible to cover the whole book in just one single talk, so I have planned that it is good if I can give 4 talks related to it. So in the first talk, I'll introduce what habits are and what, according to the author, um, are procedures for creating bad habits and getting rid of bad ones. I mean, creating good habits and getting rid of bad ones. So he talks about something called as a 4-step model. So that has 4 parts, as I just said. So it has cue, craving, response, and reward. So these will be part of talk 2 and talk 3. And in the final, I'll talk about, I'll summarize everything that I have discussed in these 3 talks. So in this first talk, I'll just give a brief introduction, what habits are and how can we inculcate new habits and what is the idea that the author is giving to us. Okay. So I need not have to introduce about what habits are. So habit is a routine that is performed regularly. So I can ask you, I mean, these are very simple questions, but these are really thought provoking. So I may ask you, so have you ever noticed that whenever you put on a shirt, which hand are you putting in first? So if you
Uh,
notice it carefully, you will put
yeah,
the same hand every time.
that's right.
So it's a matter of habit because you have been doing the same thing for over a period of time, and that has become a part of you, that has become your habit. and and
Okay.
and if you had ever noticed that from which side, uh, okay, so if you notice from which side, uh, um, so let's say you are riding a bicycle or a motorcycle, you will notice that you will put your a specific leg first. So if you are, let's say, if you're used to put your right leg first, you will always put your right leg. And if you are always, and if you're used to put your left leg first, then you will always put your left leg. So it is almost automatic. It is almost automatic. Hmm, maybe this is okay. Okay. So and whether you are a left-handed or a right-handed also depends upon, um, okay, this is better. And whether you're left-handed or right-handed is also depends upon how have you been from your childhood. So some of us will work, I mean, write or eat or do anything else with their right hand, and there are some persons which will do it using their left hand, and it's almost very spontaneous. You cannot just help it. But let's say, so maybe we can ask this question. So is it possible that if I'm a left-handed person, I can become a right-handed person after some time? Yes, it is
You can.
possible indeed.
Yes.
If you want to. And the author actually speaks of these kind of things. So I'll talk about these things as the talk progresses. So as I just said, your outcomes, the person you become, the way you look, the way you do things are a measure of your habits. So let's say you are very picky about reasoning aspects. So whenever you talk to persons, you will really pick whether the person seems to be logical or not. But if you are, but you have not made it your habit, uh, I mean, both of the persons, the person whom you're talking to and you yourself will only give out junk. you will only spit out garbage. If you are not used to very much concerned about the logical aspect of conversation. So, I mean, so the money possessed by you is a measure of your financial habits. So if you are very careless about spending money, you will spend money here and there, then it's very likely that at the end of the day, you will have very small amount of money with you. But if but if you're very careful in investing your money, let's say you have this habit of perhaps increasing your money, then you may be inclined to put your money in different kind of investments. Let's say you will use a fixed deposit, you will also invest it in share markets and so on. So, and similarly, it is true with your knowledge. So the amount of learning you have, or the broad spectrum of learning you have, the language you know how to speak, etc., is a measure of your learning habits. So if you just keep on learning very, let's say very small amount, but every day, then your knowledge keeps growing. But if you are not, then your knowledge stagnates. You will stay at the same place where you are at a given point of time. And therefore good habits make mean in so so if you have good habits, time will become your friend. But if you have bad habits, then time will become your enemy. For example, if you have a habit of getting up early in the morning, you will get a lot of time to organize. You once you get up in the morning, you can make your task list. And then if you sleep let's say early in the night, let's say around 10 or 9:30 or so, then you can again wake up early. So then you will have a natural body cycle in which your body can function. But if you sleep at random times, wake up at random times, your body will also not help you. So you may not be able to work during the whole day. So thus, if you have very good habits of waking up and sleeping, and also food habits matter a lot. So if you are fond of eating junk food, then perhaps many of us already know that it's very difficult to because it will cause you many diseases in the first place, but then it will also not be very helpful while you study. It will it will many times distract you. Okay, so before I get into the crux of habits, like what habits are and what they can actually do, let me give you an inspiring story. So it turns out that before 2008 or around that time, about 2006, British cyclists were doing pretty bad. So they had won only one gold medal in Olympics since 1908, and none of their cyclists had ever won an event in Tour de France. So Tour de France is kind of touring the whole France. I mean, I'm not sure about the exact length of the ride. I think it's about 100 kilometers or so, maybe more than that. So it even happened so that a top manufacturer in Europe refused to sell them bicycles. That because they were
My goodness.
that because they were performing so badly.
Badly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so the person thought that that because if they keep on losing, the other persons will think that because it is because of their bicycles.
Yes, yes.
So then the UK organization hired a person called David Brailsford. So he completely changed the scenario. So what did he do? So according to him, or rather his philosophy is tiny margins of improvement in everything we do. So you keep making small changes, and you keep making small changes for improvement. So what did he do? So first of all, he redesigned the seats for comfort. So perhaps the cyclists were not very comfort in while they were sitting on the bicycle. So he redesigned their seat, and he also suggested them to rub alcohol on tires for better traction, for better friction. And they also suggested, and they were also suggested to wear electrically heated clothes to keep muscle at the optimum temperature, because many times there would be cold and the muscles would not perform well, and so they may not perform well eventually. And he suggested to use more aerodynamic fabric. He also suggested an optimum massage gel for fastest muscle recovery, because when you cycle a lot, your muscles will pain. So you got to have some very good massage gel that can help you fastest muscle recovery. And he even hired a surgeon to teach them how to wash hands in order to reduce the chances of getting cold, because perhaps if they if they use a lot of tap water, or maybe because of bacterial infection, etc., so they may catch cold, and therefore they hired a surgeon to teach them how to wash hands. And he even changed their mattresses and pillow for a better sleep. And you know what happened then? Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the part of the next slide. And the
This
results.
sorry. Can you please go back?
Yes.
Yeah, this is something what you have mentioned in the first class. The tiny margins of improvement in everything. So that's
Mhm.
what the improvement he actually implemented.
Yes, yes, yes. And the results. And the results.
Of
So
course.
these were really shocking. These were really shocking
Okay.
results. So you will see what happened then. So British, so after 2008, so first of all, they performed really well in the Beijing Olympics. So British team won 60% of all the cycling gold medals in Beijing Olympics. And for the first time, Bradley Wiggins, one of their cyclists, won Tour de France. And so it so happened that during 2007 to 2017, they won 178 gold world championships and 66 Olympic or Paralympic gold medals.
My goodness.
And this happened because of some very small changes.
Okay.
So the reason is very simple. It's very simple. You have to make small changes you have to make small changes so that you can improve yourself. So wherever you can find you can change and improve, you should do it. This is what the philosophy is. So
Simple and small habits can make a big difference.
yes. So this is the moral, and this really paid a lot. So now what atomic habits are? So we call them atomic habits. Very small kind of habits that will result to some drastic change. Okay. So the thing is, as we have seen from the previous story, that the real change come from compound effect of hundreds of small changes called atomic effects. So let's say you want to read a whole book. Let's say you want to read okay, Tolstoy's War and Peace. I mean, I haven't read the book, but I have heard that the book contains about I think A5 size, about 1500 pages or so. I think 1500 pages. So you cannot read the book in one go. So you can make small objectives. So let's say you will say that by the first month, in the first month you will read, let's say 100 pages. Then in the next month you will read 150 pages, and so on. So based on that, based on making a small objectives, but that will happen only when you have reading habits every day. So let's say you have committed that I will read that book for 15 minutes, not more than that. 15 minutes is nothing. So you have to read that book 15 minutes a day. So over the time that will become a habit, and the atomic habit. So let's say you want to do 100 push-ups a day. So then you start with 2, and you just keep increasing them. So you start with 2, do it for 1 month, let's say, or maybe if you're a quick learner, you do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, then you make it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. So then eventually you will reach that 100 push-up mark, or maybe you may not know, you may even cross it, you may not know. And let's say you want to, just a second. And let's say you have a very bad habit of getting up at 8 a.m. let's say, and you want to wake up at 4 a.m. So then start by waking up at 7:55 a.m. and then keep reducing the time. You then make it 7:50, then 7:45, then 7:30, 7, 6, 5, and eventually 4. So it is possible. In that sense, anything is possible. And you even because as for us, the researchers, we want to devote, because it's not always the time we devote to a research, but or for that matter anything we do, but it's the time, it's about how we are doing that work. But still, if we are doing our work efficiently, then we still need to devote a lot of time, because efficiency will also need some practice. So let's say you also want to devote 15 hours per day for research, let's say every day. So but it's not very easy in let's say 1 month or so. But then you can start by dividing the time that you will devote some given amount of time. Let's say you divide the time into Pomodoros. Pomodoros is a basic mind focusing technique. So you start, so you, so this is what you do. So let's say you decide that you will study for 28 minutes, very intensely, extremely intensely, without any distraction, and then you will take 2 minutes break. So if you want to, if you want to study 15 hours per day, then it means that you have to somehow manage 30 Pomodoros. So this is how you will do. So let's say you will first start by saying that you will finish 15 Pomodoros, then 16 Pomodoros, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then eventually you will reach that mark. So, but so this is one part of the story, but then the other side is also is bad habits will also start in small steps. So you will not become a chain smoker. So it's not that you will become a chain smoker in just one day. So it's because you start with one cigarette, and then you started taking 2, 3, 4, 5, and then eventually, because the number of cigarettes smoked by you increased day by day, that's why you became a chain smoker. It's not because you started smoking 100 cigarettes in a single day. It just doesn't happen like that. So either way, good habits will also take time, so the bad habits. So, but then it also gives you a hint. So that let's say you have a bad habit, then you can also just get rid of it. I mean, this gives you a hint. So if you are a chain smoker and smoke 100 cigarettes a day, so you can start reducing the number of cigarettes you smoke. So make it 95, make it 90, 85, 80, 75, 70, and so on. So eventually you will get to just 1 or 2, and then you can just get rid of it completely.
But
So,
then one thing I would like to ask.
Yes, please go ahead.
So I just then जहाँ ये होता है ना, जो नशाखोर लोगों को जहाँ रखा जाता है फॉर द रिकवरी पर्पज, तो फिर ये प्लान, ये प्रोसेस तो वो भी बताते होंगे उनको. You have to keep on reducing the number day by day, day after day. तो फिर फाइनली अगर ये सही में होता है तो ये इट्स माय क्यूरियस बेस्ट क्वेश्चन. तो मतलब ये बताते हैं कि ऑथर से बुक का कि जैसे आप अच्छे हैबिट भी ग्रेजुअली डेवलप करते हैं, तो बुरे हैबिट भी ऐसे ग्रेजुअली डेवलप करते हैं. नथिंग हैपेंस ओवरनाइट.
ओके, या दिस इज ट्रू.
इट्स अ प्रोसेस, इट्स अ प्रोसेस. तो फिर आप 15-15 मिनट पढ़ के 15 घंटे की काम करने सीख जाए, या फिर एक सिगरेट स्मोक करके फिर चेन स्मोकर बन जाए. तो दे बोथ आर सिमिलर प्रोसेस. तो मैं सरप्राइज हूँ कि फिर अगर इतनी, to me it seems fantastic. And being a researcher, I also have felt it in my vein sometime actually. छोटी-छोटी जब करेक्शन हम करते हैं हमारी कैलकुलेशन में या फिर अप्रोच में, हम बड़ा अच्छा रिजल्ट मिलता है हमको. बीइंग ए रिसर्चर वी नो इट. लेकिन एक नॉर्मल आदमी अपने हैबिट में इसको इम्प्लीमेंट क्यों नहीं कर पाया है? दैट्स माय क्यूरियोसिटी. अगर इतनी छोटी सी चीज है तो फिर ये क्यों नहीं कर पाए हैं आज? इतनी सारी मतलब वो नशाखोर हैं.
हाँ, but it's a very good question, and the simplest answer it takes time. So you have to do it for over the time. ऐसे नहीं कि आप एक महीने
धैर्य की जरूरत होता है.
हाँ, मतलब कंटिन्यूअस एफर्ट की जरूरत है.
अच्छा, आपकी धैर्य की जरूरत, बहुत पेशेंस की जरूरत है. अच्छा, ठीक है.
मतलब हाँ, ऑफ कोर्स यू डोंट नीड मतलब कि हिमालय जैसा पेशेंस नहीं चाहिए, वैसा नहीं, लेकिन ये प्रोसेस को यू हैव टू कंटिन्यू फॉर ओवर द टाइम, नॉट जस्ट so you can try it for 1 month. It does not mean that you will leave it after 1 month. So you have to keep on doing this over the years, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year.
तो फिर राहुल भाई, आपको हिमालय जैसा पेशेंस तो चाहिए, क्योंकि जो एक दिन में 15 सिगरेट स्मोक करता है, अगर वो छोड़ के अगर 2-3 को आ जाए, वो तो पगला जाएगा.
एक साथ नहीं, मैं देखिए मैं क्या बोला, मतलब मैं बोला कि ये प्रोसेस का पार्ट है. आई मीन, so it depends upon the process.
लंबा जा सकता है. अच्छा, ठीक है.
So let's say you can also do it this way. So let's say if you're a chain smoker and you're smoking 15 cigarettes a day, then you can, so you can promise to yourself, okay, so from now onwards I'll only smoke 14.
ओके ओके ओके
इसमें तो कोई डिफिकल्टी नहीं है,
नहीं नहीं नहीं
काउंट
तो
करके।
मैं समझ गया, मैं समझ गया। तो दैट मीन्स आपकी आपकी अगर पेशेंस की थोड़ी कमी है तो फिर समय ज्यादा लगेगा। आई अंडरस्टूड इट।
नहीं।
मतलब सपोज आप बताए 15 सिगरेट कोई अगर स्मोक करता है, तो
हम्म
जब वो 14 लेना शुरू किया और किसी एक टाइम में उसको छोड़ना पड़ा, किसी एक टाइम में वो जब स्मोक कर रहा था वो टाइम में बंद करना पड़ा उसे,
हम्म
तो
हम्म
फिर उसी टाइम को पहले तो कंफर्टेबल कंपैटिबल नहीं हो पाएगा, उसे थोड़ा ऑकवर्ड फील होगा और फिर इधर उधर होगा साइकोलॉजिकली। तो फिर वो टाइम को वो किसी ना किसी तरीके मैनेज करना सीखेगा, तब जाके फिर कंफर्टेबल होगा वो पोजीशन के लिए।
ओके।
फिर जाके फिर 13 के लिए वो कोशिश करेगा।
हाँ, ये वाला सही है, मतलब ये एकदम सही है, लेकिन ये ना जैसे इसमें एक लेयर और भी अंडरस्टैंडिंग की कि कॉन्शियस एफर्ट चाहिए, कि मतलब पहले
राइट राइट
यू हैव टू फील दैट समथिंग इज लैकिंग, कि कुछ
राइट
मिसिंग
राइट
है, कुछ कम है। तो ऐसे अगर लेट्स से if you are devoting some amount of time to your research and you feel that this is not sufficient, so you are changing it consciously, unconscious नहीं होता है।
ओके ओके
तो
आई
वैसे सिगरेट वाले
अंडरस्टूड।
केस में भी है,
राइट राइट राइट
यू
तो
हैव टू
आपको
फील इट
आपको
कॉन्शियसली कि आपको चेंज करना है, कुछ चेंज की जरूरत है।
राइट राइट राइट
ठीक है।
प्लीज गो अहेड।
ओके। हाँ, तो व्हाट इज द मोरल ऑफ द स्टोरी? सो
ओके
हाँ, so let's say our objective is to inculcate good habits and to leave the bad ones. I mean, this is what our objective is. So, okay, so I mean, I'll explain what this graph means, because this graph has been redrawn, inspired from that book itself. So the idea is changes that seem small and important at first will compound to remarkable effect, but you have to stick with them. So they will give you very remarkable outcomes, but then you have to stick with them for years. So for example, let's say you consider this plot. So let's say I have promised myself that in some sense I'll improve myself by 1% every day. Let's say 1%, I will improve myself in some sense by 1% every day. So this is what the improvement curves look like. So this is a logarithmic scale if you see it carefully.
ओके
So so after a year, you will become 37 times better of what you were before, before 1 year. 37 times. If you have committed yourself that you will improve by 1% every day.
सो 37 टाइम पावरफुल विल बिकम।
Yes.
माय गुडनेस।
And in 40 years, you see the staggering number 10 power 57 times.
ही विल बिकम सुपर ह्यूमन।
In some way, yes. In some way, yes.
तो फिर मैं ये सवाल पूछना चाहूंगा यहाँ, जो
हम्म
कोई हम कैजुअली कोई बोलते हैं जो मोटिवेशनल स्पीच में कि इफ यू कैन कंट्रीब्यूट और डेडिकेट 10,000 आवर्स
हम्म
इन योर लाइफ यू कैन मास्टर एनी सब्जेक्ट।
हम्म
ये क्या इसी प्रिंसिपल में बना है?
मतलब एग्जैक्टली ये तो नहीं है, मतलब वो दूसरा है, मतलब जैसे मतलब मुझे अभी उसकर में इतना अच्छे से याद नहीं है, लेकिन वो अलग चीज है। हाँ, जैसे ऐसा कुछ बोलते हैं, लेकिन मतलब सम पर्सन्स रियली क्लेम दैट यू डोंट हैव टू इन्वेस्ट 10,000 आवर्स फॉर इट। यू वो तो कुछ ऐसा क्लेम करते हैं कि इवन 1,000 आवर्स आर सफिशिएंट।
तो मतलब इन ऑर्डर टू मास्टर एनी सब्जेक्ट यू नीड ओनली 1,000 डेडिकेटेड आवर।
इट सीम्स दैट वे, यस, एटलीस्ट अकॉर्डिंग टू दोस पर्सन्स।
लेकिन भाई तो एज फार एज माय एक्सपीरियंस इज कंसर्न, is it possible to master QFT within 1,000 hours? I'm a bit speculative.
Perhaps, I mean, perhaps it depends upon the techniques also. So if your techniques are really good, then they will pay you a lot over the same period of time.
और फिर आई थिंक आई कुड सेंस हाइडन प्रिजम्पशन कि QFT सीखने के लिए मुझे एलिमेंटरी क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स आना चाहिए। सो मे बी ऑथर आज assume that I know the quantum mechanics, then you take 1,000 hour, probably you may master QFT। और GTR के लिए अगर मुझे टेंसर आना चाहिए या फिर अच्छा मैथमेटिक्स आना चाहिए and a sense of imagination, then probably I can master GTR।
हाँ, मतलब दिस इज ट्रू, बट लेकिन हाँ, अभी जैसे आपने बताया कि देर आर अ लॉट ऑफ डिग्रीज ऑफ फ्रीडम, कि जैसे मतलब
ओके
वी
ओके
अग्री विद दिस कि इट हैज समथिंग टू डू विद जीन्स। वी ऑल
जीन
अग्री विद
ओके
दिस।
ओके
इट
ओके
हैज
ओके
please hear me carefully, listen to me carefully. I'm saying it has something to do with genes, not everything. It is certainly not true that it has got everything to do with genes. It has, but it has some.
Okay.
जीन्स अपना रोल प्ले करते हैं, थोड़ा बहुत रोल प्ले करते हैं कि हमारी अपब्रिंगिंग कैसी हुई है, हमारे ओरिजिनल जो जीन्स ट्रांसफर हुए पेरेंट्स से वो कैसे थे, ये उन पे डिपेंड करता है. लेकिन सिस्टम्स मतलब है ना, मतलब वी कैन नॉट रियली डू एनीथिंग अबाउट दोज एस्पेक्ट्स. वो तो जो हो गया सो हो गया. वी कैन नॉट चेंज आवर जीन्स एट ऑल, बट वी कैन चेंज आवर टेक्निक्स, वी कैन चेंज द प्रोसेस, वी कैन चेंज द सिस्टम्स. तो उसमें भी कि if your techniques or systems are better, then you can learn better.
Okay.
तो मतलब मेरे पास ऐसा एक डेफिनेटिव आंसर नहीं है, लेकिन मैं बस इतना बोल सकता हूँ कि हाँ, मतलब I have also heard this, that people say that if you invest 10,000 hours in learning anything, you will become really good at it. But it is different from that. It is certainly different from that. क्योंकि यहाँ पे कंपैरिजन पॉसिबल नहीं है ना, क्योंकि ये जैसे कि ऑफ कोर्स इट इज आल्सो वेग इन सम सेंस दैट व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ 1% इम्प्रूवमेंट. So you know yourself that you are improving because let's say you understand things quite fast as compared to what you were before. So because now you know, so I mean, so if I give you my example, so I was trying with different things for learning a subject, and now I mean I've been experimenting with various different ideas, and I found that if you start with the problem itself, so it's not that you start with learning theory or so, but you start with the problem. You start solving the problem, and then it gives you a lot of satisfaction, a lot of confidence that you have understood at least this part, at least the part which you have used to solve the problem. So in that way, this technique is quite different from what I was using before. If I were to give an example. So this really depends upon your technique, I would say.
Okay.
So then the thing is, or the strategy is, start small, but make definitive steps at a time. So if you want to change yourself, if you want to improve, if you want to make improvement, you have to take definitive steps. So just thinking about it or just craving for it will not really help. You have to do something about it. And you have to look out for continuous improvement. So you have to look out for every possible tiny margins of improvement that you can find. So there can be many examples. So for example, I mean, so as I gave you my example, because I found it really helpful that if I start with problems and not with the theory part of it, I learn really quickly, and I also get the confidence that I have learned something actually.
So it's all about the inner satisfaction also. It's not only covering up the concept, but that also essentially satisfy your innermost that hunger.
Yeah, that is a part.
Intellectual curiosity and all that.
Yes. Oh, yeah, and that is also part, and that is also something the book discusses. So that is a part of the, I mean, broader discussion. So the author discusses this aspect in a section on rewards. So this is a reward. Yes. So one is reward, that you have the confidence, or you have now known something. This is very satisfying.
Okay.
So then how do we define success? I mean, success is very vague topic and very vague word. So we'll not get into the details of success, but then success is a product of daily habits. So it's not just one. So ऐसा नहीं कि phase transition हो गया. It's not like that.
अच्छा.
कि मतलब say 2021 1st January को रात के 12 बजे you were that person, and अचानक से 12 बजे के you become successful. It's not like that.
Okay.
It's certainly not like that, but that's a small steps, छोटा करके फिर जैसे ये ना कि barrier की, जैसे अगर you, let's say you want to cross a barrier, I mean a high wall, then you will start putting some bricks on the sides so that you can step over the barrier. So so then you are stacking bricks, you keep stacking bricks, and then once the height of the bricks is enough, you can just cross over the barrier. So that is the moment of success. But then you have been collecting the bricks for over a period of time. So it did not happen in just one day. But the idea is, this is what author says, and this is what I also believe in, that you should be more concerned with the systems, not the objectives. So it's good that you have objectives, it's very good, but then you should be more concerned on about improving the system, how you can improve yourself. Results will definitely come over the time, but you should be more concerned about improving yourself or making the system better. So now let us talk about the difference between making the system and setting the goals. So I mean, of course, in order to achieve what we want in our life, we need to set some specific actionable goals. So one objective can be, okay, so one of the objectives can be, I want to read this book on cosmology by Steven Weinberg. So this can be, so this can be a specific goal that I want to achieve. But the system that we are following is far more important. So once you've decided that you want to read this book, for example, let's say Steven Weinberg's book on cosmology, so you make a system, like how are you going to do this, how are you going to achieve this objective. So you commit to yourself, let's say you start making a system in which you will read 15 minutes every day from the book. Let's say, for example, you will read 15 minutes every day from the book. So this is one way, and then if you keep on doing for, let's say, 1 year or so, voila, you have read the book.
Yeah.
So you're not really focused about reading the book as a whole, but you are focused on completing objectives or accomplishing tasks every day. If you complete those tasks, the book will be automatically taken care of. So maybe one example is that you may be concerned about the production in your factory, but if you keep improving your machines, then the production will automatically be there.
Yeah.
So if you want better results, just forget about goals. Just forget about goals. Focus on systems. So, and just keep refining, keep improving your system. So the long-term thinking isn't really about goals. It's not about, I mean, it's not just about the goals themselves, as I just said, because goals are also very important. But once you have decided, once you make a commitment, just forget about them. You really, I mean, focus on the system that you want
Means
to.
process.
Sorry.
On the process itself.
Yes.
How to improve yourself and efficiently work and all that.
Yes. And to even improve that. So if you think that you are good, that's okay, but you can still, because improvements can be infinite. You can always improve yourself. There is always a margin of improvement.
Okay.
So then long-term thinking is not about just single accomplishment. अरे मैं Nobel laureate बन गया, for example, और या फिर let's say I ठीक है कि मुझे
I got the field medal.
हाँ, for example, और maybe मैं first आ गया, let's say, मतलब अपने batch में first आ गया, ठीक है, that's very good. Let's forget about that. Let's forget about that. So the system will teach you that part. So if you are really only focused about the system, or I mean, if you're only focused on the goals, that the goal is the sole aim of life, then it will make you stop at one point of time. But if you focus on the system, then you just keep moving ahead. So then the long-term thinking, as I just said, is not also about, I mean, so it's about the cycle of endless refinement and continuous improvement. So you just focus on improving yourself over the time. So you're more worried about your improvement rather than the goals that you will objective eventually. So here I make a difference between goals and the systems. So goals are what we achieve in life, but the systems are those processes that lead us to those goals. So goals are really good for setting the direction, because if you don't set the direction, because system can tell you how to move, but if you don't know which direction to move, then you will be directionless. You don't know where to go. So systems will guide you how to move. Goals will tell you in which direction to move. So goals may change your life for a moment, but the system will change you as a person. So you will become a different person if you follow a system. So the goal's objective is to win the game. So like whatever you are playing, but the system's purpose is to continue playing the game forever. I mean, till the time you live, of course. So there's something called as identity based habits. So so you make those habits very naturally that are a part of your identity. So you so for example, how should I give an example? Okay, so maybe this one. So I mean, because I found it myself in IITK, and this also happened with me. So let's say so this is what I found after interacting with different kind of students. So they also have different kind of identities. So some of them will think themselves as toppers of the class. So they will do anything and everything. They will do their assignments very well. They will write their exams very well. They will make their lab reports very well, because they think themselves as kind of toppers. So they will go in that direction. So they will make habits according to that. But it's not it's not the only kind of persons we have. There are some other persons who really wish to learn something, to use it somewhere else, to perhaps they have heard about research. So they will transform themselves as researchers. So they are not really concerned about topping the class, or let's say scoring 100%. It's not very much important for them. So what is important for them? They will make habits according to it. So okay, so I mean, I have gone out of myself. So let me discuss this thing now. So behind every system of action, there is a system of belief. So you do something based on your system of belief. So you believe you are a physicist, you are a mathematician. So you do action based on that. You learn mathematics because you think you are a mathematician, or a physicist because you will use it eventually. So the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes a part of your identity. So if you identify yourself as a physicist, you will learn each and everything that you will find around yourself. So I mean, it will not feel like a burden to you. That
can you Rahul bhai, can you give a little bit more on this clarification? The ultimate
अभी आएगा
ये स्टेटमेंट थोड़ा मुझे समझा दीजिए.
अभी आएगा
Okay,
आगे आएगा. So for example, so let's say if you consider yourself intellectual adventurer, so you will think that it's not that you have to focus on your field of study, because your field of study is condensed matter. Mine is high energy physics. Someone else's is engineering. Someone else's is biology. Someone else's is let's say software engineering, and so on. So if you think yourself as intellectual adventurer, you will be open to learn any kind of thing. So you will be open to learn German. You will be open to learn French, Spanish, Arabic, anything. So because this is what the meaning of intellectual adventurer. And if you identify yourself as an intellectual adventurer, you will learn everything. So whatever you will find, you will perhaps sit in any kind of seminar and will ask questions and will learn from it. So because you have identified yourself as an intellectual adventurer, so that will drive you towards learning. Is it better than before?
Yes, Rahul bhai, I got it.
Okay.
Got it.
So
when habit become the part of your identity, then intrinsic motivation will automatically drive you for your goal and all that.
वो naturally होगा. मतलब if you think yourself, अरे नहीं यार, I'm a learner, let me learn anything. But ठीक है, for example, but if you think of yourself as a physicist, so perhaps you will strive to learn everything from let's say a given field of your expertise.
Okay.
But of course, as a physicist, you cannot go and learn say French or German, etc. You have to I mean, expand your identity. So
right.
That need a kind of expansion, because if you always think yourself as a physicist, you will not be able to appreciate arts, music, etc. You will have to you have to identify your, I mean, expand your identity. So the thing is, the more pride you feel in a particular aspect of your identity, the more you feel motivated, and you will maintain habits that is associated with it, that is associated with your identity. So learning is a very good habit, as we all know. But so if you identify yourself as an intellectual adventurer, well, you will go in any seminar, and then you will try to learn whatever you can. You will ask any kind of questions from here, because you take pride in it. You feel yourself that I want to learn. I'm an adventurer. I'm an intellectual adventurer.
Yeah.
So so then of course this is true that like we become that is based upon our decisions and actions. So what we do, so those will eventually become our habits. So so for example, okay, so I'll give you my example again. I mean, because I did not think of many examples. So I mean, this is a very common example though. So let's say today my mother was cooking chapatis, and she put a thick dough on the tawa, but the roti was not fully, uh, but the roti was not swelling. So one, she put some cloth on the chapati, then the chapati started puffing up. So that amazed me. How could this happen? I mean, what is the
Yeah.
reason that this is happening? So so since we think of ourselves as scientists, I mean, we have we ask these kind of questions all the time, like why the color of a leaf is green, why flowers have different colors, and so on. So it's a part of our training, it's a part of our habit, because we have been doing it since our childhoods, and we take pride in it, that we are physicists or we are mathematicians, etc. So we'll do anything and everything in order to maintain these habits. So I mean, so a mathematician, so based on what your decisions and actions, or I mean, and through habits, you will eventually end up as a mathematician or a physicist or an engineer, or let's say an artist. So it's, I mean, it's based upon your habits. So whichever kind of identity you think you have, you will drive, I mean, that it will drive you in that direction. So but a word of caution here. So Achtung bitte is a German word. Achtung means attention, bitte means please. But this I should give a word of caution. So, but one should not get attached to a specific identity. I mean, we are not, but still, I should give this word of caution, because we think ourselves as intellectual adventurers, so we can learn anything, and we think ourselves as physicists, so that we wish to know everything in our specific field of expertise. So perhaps, I mean, that may drive you to deride arts when you consider yourself as a physicist. So for example, I mean, I was reading yesterday in Sherlock Holmes. So Sherlock Holmes hardly care anything about literature, hardly care anything about politics. He doesn't even know the name of many of the politicians, which is so common for other people. But he knows a lot. He knows a lot in chemistry. He knows a lot in about, let's say, criminal cases. So because he considers, maybe, I mean, I'm not judging anyone, but I'm giving just an example. So because he doesn't care about that, so that's why he will not he will not be really interested in gaining any kind of knowledge about that part. So but sometimes you may need unlearning. You have to maybe leave the older systems, for example. So let's say you had to accomplish some certain objective, and for that you developed some systems, but it may happen that those systems are not always helpful. So in order to make progress, you have to just leave those systems and try something different, but that needs unlearning. So then improving also requires to edit your beliefs. So I had different sets of beliefs before I went to IIT, and before I went to Cape Town, before and so on. And this happens with every person. So you have to just keep continuously editing your beliefs. So whatever you thought is an aspect of reality that has to happen, that is always true, it is not really the case. So this helps you to keep improving, and of course you can say yourself that you have learned something new. But the most practical way of changing, so I mean, in order to expand your identity, so it's not just philosophical or theoretical. So it's by actions.
Yeah. You have to change your action also.
Yeah. So if you change your actions, you change yourself.
Okay, so first of all, you have to nucleate the idea that I have to expand my identity by learning something what I haven't learned, and then do that learning through action. Is it that? Suppose I don't know general theory of relativity. I am a condensed matter researcher. So when you taught me some tensor theory or curvature geometry, then I have to learn as if I am an ignorant, unlearned person. Then in order to actually bring about any change inside me, I have to work out all those things. I have to bring it into action.
No, that is not applicable to you then, because you are already willing to learn general relativity. So this is not applicable to you.
No, I just have asked you simply for an example.
No, so this is what I'm saying. So this is for those persons who think, well, I mean, so once a person thinks that he does not need any improvement, doesn't need to know anything else, but the example you gave of general relativity,
Yeah.
these conditions don't apply because you're already willing to learn something new.
Okay. Okay.
So these are for those who are not willing to change themselves. Because you're
Okay.
willing to change because you're willing to change or expand your frontiers of knowledge, your understanding.
Okay.
So
Okay.
these don't apply to you.
Okay. Okay.
So now very important. So I mean, I've been talking about habits. So some other reasons why habits are very important. Okay. So one way we learn something, or I mean, is that we try something. So let's say you have an objective, you try to achieve that objective by trying something. You fail in that, that idea did not work. So and you learn that did not work. Then you try something different. So it's kind of loop. So it will just go on forever. It will just go on forever.
Okay.
So habits reduce cognitive load and free up mental capacity. So for example, let's say if you think that you need to study some amount of time every day in order to do something, and initially you will not be able to do that part, because you see, turning up every day at 5 a.m. in the morning and doing the work till 8 or 9 in the night, it's kind of hard. It's not that easy. It's not easy. So initially you have to prepare yourself that at least you will turn up. So if you make that habit of turning up at 5 a.m. and you will do the work till 9 a.m. in the night, then first part is done. So then you don't have to force yourself for 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. in the night. So that becomes habit. So then your mind becomes free in order to gain knowledge or do other tasks. Are you getting this?
Yes.
Okay. So then since your mind becomes free, because the sitting from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the night becomes a part of your habit. So then you can relocate your attention to other tasks.
Yes.
So now I mean, with this background, we have now understood that making habits or inculcating new habits is very important. So, and it is also possible to leave bad habits. It is possible to inculcate new habits. So for that, the author suggests a 4-step model. So according to him, step 1 is cue. I mean, okay, so we will so let me just give something about it in brief, and then we will discuss it in the next talk. What actually is this 4-step model?
Okay.
So for example, cue is, let's say you want to learn a guitar. So
okay,
that's kind of an objective. So cue means a kind of objective. It's not exactly that, but is related to that. So if you keep hiding the guitar in your cupboard, that you're not able to see it, it's very unlikely that you will learn, that you will eventually start playing guitar. So you have to make it somehow visible all the time, that's wherever you sit, you can always see the guitar from that place. So then make it conspicuous. It should be very easily available, very easily accessible.
Okay.
And then if you want to leave bad habits, you make it invisible. Let's say you want to leave the habit of smoking. So you somehow arrange that either your lighter is 1 kilometer away from you, or your cigarette packs is 1 kilometer away from you.
Okay, so that will be difficult to reach that.
Yes, exactly. And you have to make, so whatever you want, whatever habit you want to learn, you have to somehow arrange that the aspects related to it are very easily accessible. So let's say you want to read a book. So this Weinberg book is on my table here.
That.
Yeah, this Weinberg book is on my table, so I can just reach out my hand and start reading.
Turn over its pages. Yes.
Yeah. This is how it is.
Yeah.
and then craving. So you have to somehow make it attractive. I mean, in
Okay.
what sense and how it is done, how it is to be done, we will discuss in the forthcoming talks. Third one is make it easy.
Okay.
So if it is difficult for you, then
Okay.
it's very likely that you will leave it in between. But somehow you have to make it easy.
Yes. Okay.
So these are very hard tasks. So these are not so easy tasks. So let's say you have to make, or you are trying to build up a habit of reading some research papers from the first page to the last. This is what I'm trying to do these days. So
Oh, I see.
I mean, reading
You have been
archive
doing
papers.
this, but probably you have intensified the curiosity.
I mean, I did not actually I was not actually reading papers. Yeah, in that intensity. I mean, I'm now these days I'm putting conscious effort that I have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
read
yeah.
these papers in order to gain more knowledge.
Okay, okay, I understood. Now you have put the goal.
Yeah. So in order to make it easy, I have developed some method of my own. I call it as LAP method.
Okay, okay.
And then the reward, you make it satisfying. So I mean, I can talk about problems that you solve. So if you solve a hard problem, that is really satisfying.
Okay.
So if
So
the
keep crave response reward. Okay.
if the objective was to solve a problem, or maybe to learn something, so the so as I said, the system is that I mean, according to new system, or that is my system, that is, so you have to solve a problem in order to understand it. So for that you will learn various aspects that is related to the problem, understanding various words that is coming in the problem itself, in order to understand the problem better. And then if you are able to solve the problem, that is a reward.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So for today, this is what I had planned. So in the next talk, we talk about first two aspects, the cue and the craving. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. And what I can say, my feedback will be, this is probably after what I can say. After several talk, I can say this is the talk I have heard it with my heart,
Thank you.
and I have learned it also because there was not many noises, and fortunately there was no interruption from internet side as well. So I think it will be completed in another 3 more talks you need, as you
Yes,
mentioned.
yes.
This is a beautiful subject, and I believe everyone should actually learn from this, because it seems simple, but I know it's a pretty difficult thing, not that easy to organize and put it in practice.
Yeah. So I mean, in that sense, it is possible to do literally anything. You can do
Yes.
anything, but you have to have
Yeah.
the system.
Yes, yes.
You have to follow a
Because
system. You have to develop a system. You have to follow the system till the end. You have to follow the system till the end.
to me, I can share my experience within a minute. During my spare time, I just got to learn from Subnikov-Diaz acceleration and Einstein-Diaz-Bahn alpha effect. If you remember, once I was delivering a talk on those two, how Einstein performed a single experiment in his entire life, and what was that? So in IOP, Rahul bhai, my mentor has assigned me to find out a problem for a PhD student. And we could successfully fix it within a week.
Okay, good.
And the credit goes to my effort, what I did in my spare time, as you mentioned. Because it would not have been that easy. Nothing comes that easy in research, you know it, having spent 10, 12 years of your life. So yeah, it is pressure, it is the process which is much more important than your goal. Goal, of course, actually keep you alive, but it is the process which actually enhance your ability on a daily basis. Isn't it? I have understood this thing from your talk. So maybe you can correct if I am wrong.
Yeah. This is what also the book says. I mean, so So you have to, so you have to have the goals. First of all, you have to have the goals, because that will give you direction. But if you
Okay.
don't have the system, how we're going to achieve the goals?
No way.
I mean, you
Net displacement will be zero. You may work
exactly.
randomly.
Yeah, you may decide that you have to stay in a hotel or maybe go to a river, but if you don't have any means of transport, and if you are not willing to go even on by walking, how will you reach the river?
Yes. If you do not have a goal, then any road can get you there.
Any road can?
If I do not have any goal,
Uh,
then any road can get me there, because I do not have any destination. So wherever road leads,
yeah. Okay, yeah, that is true. That is true.
so it's a fantastic thing, and I'm extremely happy, because this is something what you are consistently insisting to me to go through this book. In fact, I have downloaded this book and I have gone through some pages, but not understood as nicely as you have explained today.
Okay, thank you. So, do you have any more questions?
This is what I have learned. So let me first use this. So
Sure.
I think I have asked whatever question came immediately. I have asked you.
Okay.
So maybe Rahul bhai, next time if Henna doesn't able to deliver, then you can continue.
Okay.